welcome. My name is Sortomme. I'm an author, artist, and metaphysician. For a detailed bio, please access my main website at www.michaelsortomme.com. I have been writing for most of my life, poetry, prose, how-to. But in 2010, in December of that year, I had a major departure when my first novel was published. The Emancipation of Giles, a tale circling the Salem Witch Trials of 1692. I'm here today to inspire you to read this book, to share the tale, and perhaps walk the journey of Emancipation's heroine, Sophie St. A little bit from the cover. The Emancipation of Giles Corey. Thriller, spiritual mystery, historical fiction, or truth revealed. 21st century Salem still guarded the secrets of lies and violence, torture and blackmail, even premeditated murder that took place during the witch trials of 1692. Behind the gaudy museums and shops, the crowded bus tours of local haunts, the seemingly upright colonial families dating back to the settling of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, festered a conspiracy of long-standing guilt and purely human greed. Only one woman knew of the Family Confederacy, Sophie St, whose connection to the Salem Witch Trials is part magical, part personal. Sophie's dreams and hauntings have told her that the time has come to end the threat of the Confederacy and free the murdered souls of Salem after 315 years. With the aid of 3 friends, also mysteriously connected to Salem's past tragedies, she sets out on a perilous, exacting pilgrimage of emancipation. The name of Giles Corey is familiar to anyone who knows the terrible story of the persecution and trials of those unfortunates who were accused of witchcraft in Essex County in 1692. Refusing to admit guilt, the elderly farmer was pressed under heavy stones and then beaten to death. His wife Martha hung soon thereafter in the last group of executions before the trials were stopped. Every September, a secret ritual was performed by members of the conspiracy to keep Giles restrained in this world, unable to move to the next. Sophie St. must use all of her spiritual and shamanic powers to defeat the evil and bring the good to light in Salem's most historical graveyards. Chapter 1. An Otherworldly Introduction. September 22nd, 2009, Portland, Oregon. Details of the day's dramas flashed in his mind's eye. Dawn that morning had grounded him, the rising sun bathing Mount Hood's volcanic summit in magenta-tinged light. Here in the Pacific Northwest, retired professor Dr. Mortimer Szymanski had found his place in the universe. Friends had prepared him for the glorious weather months of September and October. Hot, dry days, glorious, cool nights, the apple and grape harvest. But as the season progressed, he still felt amazed at the natural beauty surrounding him. Each day was a gift. A sudden cool breeze brushed his face and brought him back to the present. It was almost midnight, and now, looking over the lit valley which mirrored the bright stars above, he felt anxious. The letter he had just finished, written on white linen paper with a stack of hastily made photocopies, rested in his lap. He stroked the white pages tenderly, thinking of the recipient. He sighed and decided to read its contents once more before beginning his overdue bedtime routine. My dearest Greta, I sincerely hope you are well and looking forward to the start of the school year. This represents a rebirth of sorts for you, on your own for the first time in almost 40 years. Lenora's untimely death shocked us all and pulled your world down to the foundation. I am sorry I did not stay a while longer after her funeral. I wanted so to help, but I felt in your way, afraid you might stumble over me in the dark. Know that thinkers around the world miss her wit as well as her ire. I certainly do. I'm adjusting to retired life, though I miss the constant stimulation of excited first-year students discovering the importance of history. You would correct me and say Herstory. Think of it, you in women's study and me in classical Greek history. We couldn't have been further apart in our views, and we still found common ground, enough to call each other dear. I miss university life, and I miss you, my first sweetheart. There is a bright spot. His name is Reuben, my new assistant. Portland State sent him over last spring to help me clean up files and categorize my library after the big move across country. He never left after the books were sorted. I wish he would work for me full-time, but he works as a docent at the Jewish Museum in Chinatown. I have to share him. This is bringing me to the reason I'm writing late on this, the first night of autumn. Reuben told me the university had forwarded a series of personal letters addressed to me but delivered to the chair of my department by mistake. They were held up for almost a year by the time Reuben found them. They were written by a woman named Sophie St, an interesting character who calls herself an indigenous shamanic practitioner. Reuben Googled her and printed a picture of her dressed from head to toe in gold deer hide and beads. Quite a sight. Surprisingly, she's as white as my legs in February before our yearly cruise. I agreed to meet with her. She insisted on this morning. She needed to be back in her hometown around 3 o'clock, something about an equinox and a liberation feast. She lives only an hour or so from me, so it was easy to agree. Precisely at 11, the bell rang. I found a striking woman, short and slightly bent, with a silver-colored men's haircut, dressed all in purple. At first glance, she reminded me of you, but soon I saw her as too loud around the edges to be compared. She asked for help unloading her presentation from her car, also purple, covered with rainbow stickers and peace signs. I felt we were back in Berkeley. Reuben was called for muscle. Immediately they embraced, but then she held him at arm's length. She made some strange movement with her hands and bent him at the waist toward her. She smoothed his curly hair flat and blew air over his head, over his yarmulke. He was overjoyed. I've never seen him so animated. Reuben hauled in a collapsible table, an overstuffed electric blue wheeled suitcase, and a milk crate filled with tightly packed books. Miss St. Cloud carried a plastic container of sweets and a large thermos. It looked like she was moving in. Few words between Reuben and the woman were said. They seemed to be in a world all their own. Within minutes, they created a full-color presentation with charts and graphs and colored files containing articles and essays outlining St. Cloud's belief structure and the dramatic happenings in her life, which are many. She had additional copies for Reuben and me. She began unpacking the milk crate, one book at a time. These battered black and white marbled notebooks seemed to hold all her magic, all her hope. Before I knew it, I was seated in my favorite leather chair with a cup of hot green tea and a muffin smelling of nutmeg and apple. Reuben and the woman smiling in front of me. It all happened so fast it's a blur. Her tone of voice was strong but oddly melodic, almost hypnotizing. She spoke of time zones, Camino cycles, reincarnation, and conspiracies. At one point, she put her hand on top of the notebooks and patted them gently, as if the books were alive. She told me they comprised a rough draft of a novel detailing an experience she and 3 of her friends had in 2007. 9 days of rituals to free hundreds of ghosts in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, centering in Salem. Fiction gave her leeway to tell the story her own way, she explained. Also included were several books of her preparations, concerns, and history outlining the reasons for the journey. The presentation kept skipping from one time period to another, spanning almost 400 years. She expected me to keep up with her lengthy explanations, and amazingly I did. I absorbed each and every word. It's a confusing and disturbing tale, but it captured my attention. I explained to her that my field of expertise did not include reincarnation and ghost busting, and went on to ask her why she was insistent on meeting me. She explained how she came to know of me. She had found several of my articles about the Genome Project and DNA samplings from around the world. It's been a passion of mine since 2000. Retirement loomed, and the Greeks had lost their luster compared with the great scientific leaps being made each and every day in this new century. I knew I was too old to embrace a new avenue for teaching. But for myself, my own ancestry and edification, I had to take whatever presented itself. I was thrust into a world of crazed genealogists, of retired scientists on quests of possible treasures laying in wait. I was titillated. True, I kept this fascination to myself, for few friends or colleagues found my articles online or asked if I had new interests, so it never came up. I kept my new passion under wraps, even from you, my oldest friend. I've had few secrets in my life, so it was a guilty pleasure. Now it looks I have been discovered. St. Cloud is a genealogy enthusiast, coming to DNA as a tool in charting her maternal and paternal lines. Her fascination lies in possibilities, clearly my opposite. Self-branded with the title of Rememberer, a being with compact, total past life recall, she believes DNA tracing will eventually prove reincarnation and soul clusters to be a reality. Wild, I know, but she has a persuasive way. She also believes DNA will prove the old Kabbalistic saying, God is science, science is God. I hope I've given you enough of a taste to inspire you to read the entire book. It's available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, and other international online booksellers. It is also most probably in your local library. I wish you all well, good reading, good writing, good discussion. Till next time, Michael Sortomme, over and out. Bye now. Thank you.